This is Sean. Welcome back to the American Soccer Coach. This is a fascinating video about the career of Jamie Vardy, going all the way from the ninth division in England at the age of 20, all the way to the Premier League. One of the craziest stories in football. He grew up in Sheffield, and he played in the academy of Sheffield Wednesday, which was the team that he supported until the age of 16, which is when they released him due to his small stature. They didn't think he would be tall enough to be a professional football player. So from there, he went to Stockbridge Park Steels, which is a ninth division team. And from the ages of 17 all the way to the age of 23, he played in the ninth division of England, starting with their academy team, eventually going up to the first team and getting minutes there. Jamie Vardy really had this unique career because while he was playing in the ninth division, he was only making 155 US dollars per month. So he was barely making anything playing in the ninth division. So because of that, he took a job as a technician, and he did that full time during the day. And then eventually he would go to training at night and play for this team in the ninth division. Now, the issue was his job required a lot of physical labor. And because of that, he ended up really hurting his back. And there was a lot of times that he would call in sick for work just so he could play because it was causing such an issue on his back. He was showing up to training tired and with a hurt back. So it was difficult for him. So not only was he working full time as well as playing in the ninth division, but on top of that, he got charged for an assault. He was charged with assault when he was 20 years old. Long story short, he had a friend that had a hearing disability, and I guess a couple people were making fun of his friend. Jamie Vardy didn't like that, and a fight broke out, and Jamie Vardy got charged for assault. So Jamie Vardy is working full time, playing for $150 a month in the English ninth division, and he also has to wear an ankle monitor while he's playing because of his assault charge. And there was even games for his team in the ninth division where he would only be able to play for 60 minutes, and then he would have to leave the stadium to get back home and not break his curfew because of his charge. So really a crazy story. But what happened was Jamie Vardy, especially his last 2 or 3 years at Stockbridge, he was racking in goals, and it finally got him some attention. He eventually goes to FC Halifax, which is a team in the Northern Premier League. So you got obviously the Premier League, the Championship, League One, League Two, the Conference, and then right after the Conference, you have the Conference North, and that's where FC Halifax played. Jamie Vardy tore it up. I think he scored like 20. He was scoring 20 goals, 25 goals. He was the player of the year for the team, and then eventually that got him a move a year or two later to Fleetwood Town, who are in the conference. Went to Fleetwood, tore it up again, was scoring goals for fun, and eventually that is when Jamie Vardy made the move from all the way from the conference to Leicester City, who were playing in the Championship. Now, Jamie Vardy left for £1 million. That was the transfer fee, which was the highest a team has ever paid for a non-league player. So Leicester, while £1 million doesn't sound like a lot today, the fact that they wanted to invest that much money into a player that was playing in let's think about it, Premier League, Championship, so like the fifth division, the conference, right? So to £1 million on a player that was in the conference was a big investment for Leicester at the time. And Jamie Vardy, again, he went to the Championship. He had a little bit of a struggle because he was scoring 20 plus goals in the conference and the Conference North, and suddenly he scored like 5 goals for Leicester. And it took him some time to get, back in form. Eventually Leicester get promoted, and then that's when suddenly Leicester, eventually they go on that title run. They win the Premier League with the likes of Jamie Vardy, who was the player of the year that year, with the likes of N'Golo Kante, with the likes of Riyad Mahrez, Drinkwater, Kasper Schmeichel, Wes Morgan, and everybody else. But again, the fact that Jamie Vardy started with, in the ninth division, making $150 a month, playing with an ankle monitor on while working a full-time job, showing up to training already exhausted from work, and everything like that, going all the way to Leicester winning the title, Jamie Vardy being player of the year in the Premier League, is a crazy story. And even you could tell that Jamie Vardy had a very unique background, because if you hear about how he was preparing for games during his time at Halifax, during his time at Fleetwood, and even during his time at Leicester, especially the first year or two, he would be drinking Red Bulls and lattes like right before the game rather than drinking water like Gatorade or anything like that. And then he also had, he didn't realize that when he was getting injured, that he was a constant partier. So like he was always going out and drinking and partying and even showing up the next day hungover, but just ready to play because he came from nothing. So he was ready to put it all on the line every training session. So it took him a little bit later to realize you can't be doing that and expect to play at the highest level just because he came from the ninth division, where a lot of players do that because they're on very little money. And so I think it was more of a fact that one, Sheffield should have never let Jamie Vardy go. He was always very talented. It's just that he had his growth spurt late. I think the other side of that, though, is it just took Jamie Vardy a little bit of time to mature. And I mean that like on the field, but also off the field. Obviously, he had the charge. On top of that, he had some bad training habits that he picked up because he was in the lower divisions. But I do think that this is a player that, relatively got unnoticed. And I'm obviously very grateful that now we could tell this story, because I would say for us in the United States, you don't hear any story like the Jamie Vardy story. And not necessarily that someone needs to have, that level. Like, I'm not saying a player in the US needs to hit the Premier League and be one of the top forwards or anything like that. But you still don't hear a lot of stories about guys that come from the lower divisions in US soccer and then eventually become very good players in MLS. And that, like, just growing up in Los Angeles, I know that there are several players I've seen play, and I've seen some MLS guys play, and I know that they're at that level. They just didn't get their chance, whether that was not going to college or whether it was making a bad choice with the law or whether that was not being seen. Which I think some of those kind of exactly are the Jamie Vardy story. So it's a very unique story. I'm obviously thrilled that somebody that has gone through all that has been able to see the reward at the end of it. Let me know what you guys think about the video. What do you guys think of Jamie Vardy? Thank you guys for watching as always. Thank you.